D.R.C. Wentworth once said, "The harmony of the world is made manifest in form and number, and the heart and soul and all the poetry of natural philosophy are embodied in the concept of mathematical beauty." In the last 50 years, American students have fallen into trends consisting of poor math competence, failing grades, and math avoidance. An estimated 72% of 8th graders today are not proficient in math. In this presentation, I will discuss current teacher math shortages, poor teaching strategies, and student anxiety. I will show how these work together and what we can do to overcome them. I'm also going to attempt to give the right strategies and ways that we can overcome these barriers, allowing all students to be able to learn and succeed in mathematics. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the teacher shortage. In New York in the last 50 years, 50% of teachers either did not have a major or minor in math, or they didn't have a degree at all, and in that case they're granted a temporary teaching license to teach it. And in these instructors who aren't well qualified, it's been shown that they actually feel anxiety about teaching the subject, and that the anxiety that they feel in teaching is being passed on to their students, creating a cyclic trend. One reason for the teacher shortages, well, the most commonly cited reasons for the teacher shortages are low math salary and poor administrative support. And as far as the salary goes, as you can see here, Utah in the 2006 and 2007 school year, the average starting salary for a teacher is $28,000. The 10% of people with a degree in mathematics start out at $40,000, which is quite a bit above what starting teacher makes. But above that 10%, most mathematicians are making up to and a little bit above $120,000 a year. So it's clear that a lot of math students, there's just not a lot of incentive for them to do it because they can make a lot better money. With the unqualified teachers that we have now, they haven't been taught how to implement the right teaching strategies. One of these ineffective teaching strategies is stereotype threat. In 1973, we had a 35-point gap between white students and African American students. And although we're getting better at it, that today it's only a 23-score gap, it's still not anywhere where it should be. Stereotype threat happens when the concept of being either an African American student or a female student is introduced into the classroom, and like a teacher would, and this has happened, actually tell a student that it's not important that they learn math because they're not good at it anyway. And when students go to take their exams, when these students go to take their exams, they are experiencing a lot of anxiety in doing it because they either feel like they failed already because that's what the stereotype is, or they feel a lot of pressure to prove somebody wrong. Now, about math anxiety is probably the biggest contributor to students failing than anything else. And other than teachers passing it on to their students and introducing stereotype threat, it also has to do with an interaction with their peers and the way that math is being taught. In the past years, we've used methods such as rote learning and memorization, and it's something that we're trying to gear away from, and concentrating on just the right answer. So it's important that when teachers go to grade, that they look at the steps that are being taken, that it's not a simple miscalculation in the computation, but a problem in the steps, and that instead of concentrating on what they got wrong, concentrate on all the parts that they got right. Another great way that teachers are starting to incorporate into the classroom is playing games and dividing students up into smaller groups. So even though things like teacher shortages and stereotype threat and math anxiety and students who aren't invested in their learning are huge barriers to overcome. There is hope. So in conclusion, I would like to say that teachers are being offered more incentive nowadays, like loan forgiveness, and there are special grants towards going into teaching. And that the unqualified teachers that are out there are being offered more training, and it's now a requirement. And as Galileo once said, the universe is a grand book which cannot be read until one first learns the language and that it is written in, and it is written in the language of mathematics. Are there any questions?
I want to know, why should I even care about learning math, first of all?
Well, because nowadays it's more important than ever to have a college degree, or it's difficult to get a job. And in college, they require you to learn at least advanced algebra and mathematics. Also, reasoning and problem-solving skills is what we learn when we do mathematics. So even if you get a job or going into a job that doesn't require math, those problem-solving techniques that we learn come in handy. Any other questions?
Why are teacher salaries so low?
The school districts and the funding that goes into it from the government just simply isn't there. Is there anybody else?
Yeah, me. Doesn't games take away the learning of math?
You mean from the time that the teacher spends instructing?
Yeah.
No. What it actually does is it takes pressure off of the students who are nervous about having to come up to the blackboard, and they get to work with students who are more on their level. The interaction with them actually helps their learning. Any other questions?
What has caused the narrowing in the stereotype threat gap?
Well, for one, teachers are being told to steer clear of it. But another is that African Americans and women are more empowered in today's society than what they have been in the past. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for listening.